Hello, Vijay. Welcome. Because Karthik was just mentioning about your passion. So you worked on both sides of the industry, like, running workshops to building tech platforms and all that. So what was the exact breaking point that made you realize that auto repair ecosystems needed a complete digital reset?
Yes, so I wouldn't say it was a single point, Rashmi. I think it was an evolution in the journey, right?
Hmm.
So I actually worked in auto repair and maintenance. I worked as a car wash boy and as a technician before I moved to the US to get higher education, right? And then there are two skills that are fairly well developed. One is writing code, and the second is repairing cars. So I built a startup in the US, and then that company got acquired by a private equity group. I returned to India I said, I'm done with tech. I want to do something else that doesn't involve coding. And I returned to India to start a chain of auto repair shops called Cars, CARZ, right?
Hmm.
Then, in the process of building out that repair network, um, I, re- you know, I was feeling that there was a need for technology. And initially, when we needed technology, I actually licensed it from the US because this is a very mature market. But very soon, I realized that that was not working in India, right? So then I started again hesitantly went back to building technology for my own repair shops actually. And then a few years into running this technology at my own repair shops, it helped me realize what it could do, not just for the business, but in terms of bringing trust and transparency to a completely broken system, right? So the simple example how bad it is in auto repair. Yeah, I don't know if you have experienced it anytime before, but let's say if we go to a restaurant and we order a specific type of food, we don't suspect that they are giving us something with a different type of meat, right? Like crocodile meat or something like that when we've ordered chicken. That kind of trust deficit is not as much as it is in auto repair. In auto repair, when we send our car for service, we are always concerned whether they are billing us for services that were not done, or whether they have pulled out good parts from our car, or whether the parts they have replaced are of good quality. These are all concerns in every car owner's mind, right? So
Hmm.
when I set up the chain of repair shops, it was my goal that I wanted to create something between a local mechanic and the dealership network, right? So the comfort of a local mechanic, but the infrastructure of a dealership. That was the gap I was trying to fill, and then build trust and transparency into that process implicitly, like where we shouldn't have to tell the customer that please trust us. That should come across in every transaction of the auto repair, right? So that was the vision with which I started the car repair. And then I realized that without technology, it was a challenge to deliver that quality of service and to bring trust and transparency. So I started building that tech initially for internal consumption only. And then I realized that it was bringing tremendous benefits because we had pushed the boundary more than even what OEM dealers had done with technology, right?
Hmm.
Like using photographs to figure out what is in the vehicle, damage assessments, then sharing that to customers in real time. So customers, insurance companies, other participants in the ecosystem were highly appreciative of how we were using tech in auto repair. And that is when I decided that maybe rather than keep building repair shops, right? So when I came back to India, my plan was to build 300 repair shops, and I built 20 of them, our own repair shops across South India. So somewhere around that time, I realized that if I was going to build the 300, it would be a humongous task and it might take another decade or two for me to get there. is also very capital intensive business. But we had built this amazing tech that I said, why don't I take that and make it accessible to the independent repair shop segment and see how it goes, right? So that was the triggering point. And then around the same time, I also read some research either from EY or McKinsey or one of those reports, which said that there were over 100,000 repair shops in India at that time, independent repair shops. So I went around meeting these repair shops in various parts of India, and clearly there was no tech available for them. So that's when I said, okay, maybe I should look at digitization of the highly fragmented repair segment, and then spun off a separate company from my car repair network to build this. So it happened over a period of time, but it was a natural evolution from what I was doing into to what we do today.
So, talking about technology, like you have some 2,000 workshops running on Autorox across 30 countries, right? So, what do you think is the biggest mistake, operational mistake, you see independent garages consistently making? And how do you think technology can change that?
So there are multiple areas that remain broken, right? So I'll give you an example at where I'll pick like just one or two stages of the repair and give you an example, right?
Mm,
So first thing is let's say that you drive a Skoda Laura, right? And there is a service that is required on your car. Generally, what you would do is you would go to a dealer while your car is in warranty, and then after that you are looking for independent repair shops as an option because they are cheaper and everybody wants to save money, right?
yeah.
Generally, what would happen is it's unlikely that you would know who is a good independent mechanic to service your car. So you might call a friend or a family member and say, hey, do you know somebody, right? It's also very unlikely that they have a Skoda Laura.
Mm,
So they might be driving a Maruti Swift, right? They will say, yes, go over to Raju's garage. He is very good. Yes, Raju is good with Maruti cars. He's not good with Skoda. He doesn't have the skill set to service that kind of vehicle, right? So the first thing is, as a car owner, how do we discover the right garage who has the right skill set and equipment required to service the specific vehicle that we drive, right? So right from there the problem starts, which is discovery of the right repair shop to service the vehicle, right? Now when we take the car to Raju's garage, for example, they do not have the tools to inspect the Skoda. And then, so let's say anyway, they'll say, okay, XYZ is the problem. We'll come back to you with an estimate. Okay. They are not set up to give you an estimate because they don't know what are the parts, where the parts are available, what is the pricing, nothing. They don't know any of that, right? So in the absence of that, they will start calling every supplier and retrieving the price. By the time you get an estimate, it may be 2 days, 3 days for large vehicles, large services. They will usually take even 10 days plus to give you an estimate. So in that much time, already trust deficit is building up between us and the repair shop, right? Like, I just asked you for an estimate. Why are you taking so long to give an estimate, right? Don't you have the capability to do it? What is the problem? So, like that, at every stage of the repair, due to lack of digitization, the repair shop is unable to promptly communicate with the car owner. They don't know, they don't have access to spares catalogs, so they don't know which part fits on the vehicle. They don't know which supplier has access to that specific part, who has it, what is the price. So they have to discover that on the phone, then they have to tell you. If the car is met with a collision, they will submit a written estimate on paper to an insurance company.
mm.
Now, insurance company will go back and forth, back and forth. It may take a week. For my own car, recently it took 60 days to get the insurance approval done, right? So in that time, you're losing trust with the insurance company as well as with the repair shop. So the ecosystem itself is fragmented, and then the repair shop is not sufficiently set up to give you information in real time. Now, let's say finally you approve the service. The next thing your expectation as a car owner would be, please tell me what is the status of my car, what services are done, and when can I finally expect the car back, right? That is what you are expecting as a car owner. I, as a repair shop owner, do not even know when I'm going to be able to get the parts I need for that service. So, how am I ever going to be able to tell you the time? So, every time you call me, I will be giving you a version that, yeah, kal tak ho jayega. But I don't even have that visibility, right? So, that lack of digitization in the entire auto repair ecosystem is the problem. So for us, it is very simple. Once you deploy the technology, we send you WhatsApp updates, right? Or there is a link, you can click on it anytime and you get real-time visibility into what is happening with the repair. So technology by its very nature can build, can impose a simplified standard operating procedure on the repair shop. And by virtue of that, it is bringing trust and transparency into the process. So as a car owner, we are comfortable. It's highly likely we will go back to the repair shop. So like that, I could give hundreds of examples where the process is broken, but I just picked like two or three that might be very easy to understand.
Yeah. So, but taking this, conversation about technology further, like you rightly made a point, auto repair has long struggled with customer trust. So, what specific design decisions in Autorox were made to make garages more transparent and customer friendly?
Yeah. So the important thing, Rashmi, to get repair shops to, particularly independent repair shops, to deliver on trust and transparency is basically first to drive digital adoption, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Only if, only if they adopt the product, then comes the next stage of providing visibility into what is happening with the repair, right? Now, in independent repair shops, a lot of the people that are employed come from economically backward environments. They may not have education, right? So then how do you build technology that can address the challenges that these people face, either with education or with their other limitations, right? So when I was in the US, I did a lot of work building hardware, software for kids who have mental and physical limitations, right? Like, say, kids that cannot, that either don't have hands or legs, or where they are immobile, and so on and so forth, right? So then when I came back to build this software, I thought of it as, okay, why don't we look at the technology as being an enabler for these folks who have certain limitations. It is not a, they don't have a physical limitation, but they are limited, let's say, by education or ability to read or ability to comprehend. They're very good with repair, but they don't understand the other aspects of it, right? So if I were to see this as a limitation, how would I build technology differently, right? So that is why in Autorox, if you see, we have a lot of usage of icons, images, photographs of parts, stuff like that, which they are. So if, let's say, we are talking about a left door, you will actually see a left door photograph show up there. If you talk front bumper, rear bumper, we'll show pictures of those. And this we started doing, I'm saying, as back as probably 2012, when Android devices and mobile phones were just beginning to become very popular. We had started from that time, right? So first thing is that we realized that the problem to solve, given the fragmented nature of the industry and the type of people that work in the industry, is to build technology in such a simple manner that it drives digital adoption and they actually like using the tools. Now,
Mm.
once they start liking the tools and they use it, then a simplified SOP is already enforced into their process. They don't even know, but the software by its very nature is creating an SOP, and that is automatically driving trust and transparency. And so that's the approach we have taken. And I'd say we have been, I mean, it wasn't easy initially, but today we are the largest deployment of tech in the independent auto repair segment in India, right? So every month, over 150,000 repair orders are created on our platform, right? So a few million every year, which means that these repair shops are now beginning to understand the benefits of technology, and their customers are also coming and telling them, like many times when I speak to repair shop owners, they say, yes, our customers are coming and saying, oh, वो SMS या WhatsApp में update आ गया मेरे को, so I'm very happy that you upgraded, right? So that's a show of trust and transparency that, so that a lot of that is happening. So the path to getting here wasn't easy, but that's the long journey we had to take to bring trust and transparency into the process.
Yeah. So Autorox and Autozilla together create a connected ecosystem. So, how does this integration fundamentally change the power balance between garages, part suppliers, and large dealership networks?
Yeah, so the goal is, Rashmi, to create a network of independent repair shops that are as qualified, um, and comparable to a dealership network, with offering better turnaround times and better pricing for end customers, right? That is the goal. And um, what Karthik said, that the goal is to create a Swiggy style experience for auto repair, right? So, what do we mean by a Swiggy style experience? Now, let's say when we order food when we go into the Swiggy app, it shows us a variety of options, right? What are you looking for? You're looking for Italian or Mexican, or biryani or whatever. It shows you all those options. That is the equivalent for us in terms of discovery of the right repair shop,
Mm,
right? Now, once the repair shop is discovered, uh, we would take the car to the repair shop, and then now the repair shop builds an estimate in Autorox. The data for building the estimate is coming from AutoZilla,
mm,
because AutoZilla is being used by parts sellers. So we have digitization of the garages. We also have solutions and digitization for parts sellers. Now, when let's say the Skoda Laura has gone into the repair shop and they say, okay, I need a front bumper and a headlight, Autorox is pinging AutoZilla to say, hey, which sellers have these parts readily available and what is the price?
mm,
In real time, Autozilla is responding, and it is showing in Autorock saying these parts are available at these sellers. This is the brand, this is the price, right? Now, that information is directly visible on the customer's app to say, okay, this is the estimate, approve it now, right? Now, once they approve it, the system generates a purchase order to the seller.
mm,
Generally, just this process that I described to you could take several hours to several days, depending on the complexity of the repair, right? So when with Swiggy, our expectation is, I placed an order, the order has been received by the restaurant. I don't care what happens in between. I miraculously want to be able to see, okay, my food has been picked up, it is on the way, and it's going to be delivered to me in under 20 minutes. That's all we care about, right?
yeah, yeah.
Have to deliver that quality of experience in auto repair, unlike in food where it is a one-to-one single point transaction. You place order to restaurant, restaurant supplies you food. Here you have to take your car, they have to inspect it, they have to give you a quotation. If an insurance company is involved, you have to contact insurance company, get approval from there. Then you use these approvals to go to a seller and buy parts. So it's a multi-point transaction, multiple interfaces, right? So now, example, our integration with AutoZilla, onboarding sellers or onboarding insurance companies onto the platform, makes all this communication between the various entities completely digital. And hence, it enables us to provide that Swiggy style experience in auto repair. If I was only providing solution for repair shops, I would not even be solving their problem because they don't even know where the part is available, what is the price, when can I get it. They don't know anything. If they don't know that, then I cannot tell the customer when the car is going to be ready. Then again, it leads to the same trust deficit, right? So that is
Yeah.
why when started visualizing the solution, I said I'm not interested in solving one small problem, right? I need to look at this holistically as an ecosystem solution. And if my vision is to bring trust and transparency into the repair process, then as much as it is a big challenge to take on, that is the one I'm going to go after. So when I started it itself, I knew it would be a long haul journey, and I'd have to deal with a lot of challenges in terms of driving digital adoption and all of that. Luckily, like let's say about 10 years later, we are getting there and we are getting recognized, and we have made inroads into large enterprises, insurance companies. um, we have large networks of repair shops, up to 500 repair shops in a network that adopt our platform. So it has all evolved today. And that's because of a differentiated approach we have taken, which is digitizing the entire auto repair ecosystem rather than build pointed solutions.
Thank you so much for talking to.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Rashmi.